Alright, listen up carefully because this is not your usual professor that is just going to teach you some theoretical stuff about performance. This is actually something that I learned through skin the game, something that I learned through my experience as an athlete, something that I learned through thousands of hours of practice. So what I'm going to explain you today is actually, how to destroy self-doubt as an athlete, how to perform without the feeling of, you know, what it did in training. Like some hours before the competition, you have all the kind of anxiety before and you don't understand why. Simply today I'm going to explain you 3 steps in order to our knowledge and in a very practical way how to eliminate it. So first of all we have to understand what actually is self-doubt, and the most simple way I can define self-doubt is actually the lack of self-confidence, the lack of you know what actually I have done during this preparation, right? So you actually may start questioning your stuff, questioning your skills, questioning, maybe this is something not for me, or, you know, like I said, it all comes down to a principle of, mental entropy. We always have to seek new information, always have also to the way our mind is programmed is, through fear seeking. So is a way our brain is actually engineered, is actually wired in order to prevent us from potential danger, potential, threat. But at the end of the day, we're talking about sports and performance, right? So the first thing that I actually implement to myself, first of all, and actually say and talk to all the athletes that I'm working with is actually having a perfectionist mindset towards what is in your control, right? We always try to, we always had have this perception that is something is not the way ourselves wanted, right? It's actually a mistake. It's something it's something bad. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the thinking of what is actually in our control, what is in our end, and what is not in our control. So perfection is actually good when it comes down to controlling the variable of recovery and training, because at the end of the day these are the two most important things when it comes to performance. Yes, so it all comes down, as I said before, to this approach, this let's say stoic approach, where all the other stuff, all what the other opponent will do, all the environment, all these are all noise that is just distracting you from what actually make the performance, right? So it all comes down to the input, starting from what are you eating, so your diet, to your preparation, your mental preparation, the preparation that you have studying the game, right? Have you studied yourself? Have recorded yourself? Have objective data that show you what exactly have you do? And it doesn't mean that it has to be something very extremely precise, like how many shot, every single shot, how many movement have you done? Counting that. It all comes down, to even at the end of the practice, simply or even once a week, have a honest conversation with yourself, and simply asking, considering this week training, what mark would I give myself from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, right, in the overall performance. This actually gives an objective data to understand where you, where we are now in order to get from where we want. So as I told you before, distinguish what is in your hand, what is controllable, which is actions, and what, and also the guidances. So depending on if you have good guidances or not, these are 50-50. So it's a lot, but actions and guidance at the end of the day are what you can control. And also acknowledge that you're allowed to make mistake. You're allowed to fail simply, right? It doesn't mean that you're seeking failure, which at the end of the day is something good, because that is gonna make you step up, reflect, and understand what didn't work, and what you have to do better. And at the same time, I'm just saying that timing and luck has plays a crucial role in the overall group performance, right? In the single event, and also in the period of 1 year, 2 years, wherever it is, or even 1 month, right? It plays a really important factor. And moving on, the second strategy that I'm gonna explain you is actually how what's actually is your definition of failure, right? So failure for me is actually it doesn't exist really. The overall performance has you know a start and an end during competition, yes, and the end usually tend to be to the overall classement, the overall scores that we have, all the things that make us understand the I was first, the I was second, wherever it is. And yeah, so just trying to understand that is a feedback of what you as an athlete have done in that competition, and that's it. Doesn't mean that you are a bad athlete or you haven't worked hard enough. It's just a simple feedback for that specific competition. Now I have to distinguish the single event, the single competition, or things that happen multiple times during the year, and that is actually a habit or something that has to work through, right? It's something that you gotta need guidance, and you need information to get to the next level. So one of the best way in order to improve and getting feedback is actually analyzing yourself, analyzing your bout, your matches, your self training, whatever it is, yes, and having approachable and growth mindset in this, understanding what you are doing and what the next time you are going to do better. Little small adjustment every time at the end of the day, at the end of the month, the quarter, a year are gonna exponentially increase your improvement, right? Just to give you very simple and practical numbers, if you improve 1 single percent, and I say 1 single percent every single day, at the end of 1 year, so 365 days, you're gonna get better 33 times than the starting, right? So imagine yourself like 1st January, and your only goal every day in training is to get better 1%. The 1st January of the next year, you're going to be 33 times better, right? That's actually insane. So that should be your actually focus. And the last part that I want to talk about, is very important, is actually what I was saying before, building an objective mindset, and a critical thinking mindset. So understanding that you gotta need a data point, you gotta need numbers in order to really fermentating what you have done, because at the end of the principle is that we are emotional creatures, we are emotional animals first of all, right? We perceive emotion first of all, and then we have a moment of, okay, I'm rationalizing this thing, right? So this, I would say, very important. And how you're going to do that, as I said before, you can write one time at the end of the week an overall score of performance of yourself during the trainings, or at the end of every time that you are going to train, you're going to write down the things that you do, how many do that. You can record it, that's good, but at the same time it requires time, so you have to consider that, especially if you're a student athlete. And yeah, generally speaking, understand also yourself, has have an objective perspective of how do you feel physically, how do you feel mentally, because at the end of the day, no one's really know what you're feeling inside. No one's know externally. We have, of course, people have have their gut, have the intuition, have the eyes, but no one can feel it at the end of the day, truly. So be really aware of yourself. This is at the end of the day, something that I got to learn too, and yeah, just be questionable about what can you do better, but at the same time you're studying the game, and be prepared to be curious and to master every single time what you're doing. Like consider it like a game. Consider it something that every time you have another little piece of the puzzle, another game, another level that you can actually reach. So that's for today. I really hope you find value in the video. And also I'm actually running my company Perform, and we actually help athletes perform at the peak performance. And yeah, we're actually trying to find 5 athletes that we're gonna working through in this period to find out what is the primary bottleneck in their performance, and then understanding what actually is stopping them from reaching their goals. So if you are generally obsessed with it, if you are generally hungry to get better as an athlete, or even if you're still an athlete, wherever it is, click the link down below in order to book a free training audit, and see you there.